Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and if you can't tell, the smile hasn't left my face. And neither it will from here till the end of the league campaign. I don't suspect, anyway. So we've got a bit of catching up to do, following our Player of the Year ceremony last night in the Hydro, and following, of course, that massive result on Saturday. It's finally time to sit down and catch up. Let's do that, shall we? If you haven't already, please make sure to hit like and subscribe. It would be much appreciated as we try and get towards 50,000 subscribers on the channel this year. I appreciate the support last week heading into that big derby. Let's keep it going now as we enter the last week of the season. It's Monday, the 13th of May. Just had to double check the date. The 13th of May, which means we only have 2 games left. Both of them take place this week, starting with Kilmarnock on Wednesday night. But we've got a wee bit of catching up to do before we get there. Shall I put up a quick reminder of what the league table is looking like? Here it is in all of its glory. Celtic more or less champions of Scotland. 2 games to play, 6 points clear, and an advantage when it comes to goal difference. It would take a disaster of epic proportions now for Celtic not to win the Scottish Premiership following their victory over Rangers at the weekend. We only need 1 more point to secure it on Wednesday night against Kilmarnock. So let's run it back to 2019. Let's find somebody else's name to fit the song. You remember? Scott Brown won the league at Rugby Park. Well, let's change it. Let's get, I don't know, somebody scoring. Anybody. Dyson Maeda. He deserves it. I would love to see him score the goal. But we're in a great position. It just feels fantastic that the pressure is off. Not completely off. It's not like we can overlook these last 2 games. You want to go and win both of them anyway. Despite being champions or not, you want to win as many games as possible and take as many points home at the end of the season when the curtain falls. But, you know, it feels nice going into this game, considering what it could have been. You know, if we didn't beat Rangers at the weekend, the pressure would have been up. It would have been up, you know, the pressure wouldn't have been off. So it's nice going into it knowing that, listen, we've got a couple of games here just to take our time and get through things. For all we know, Rangers could drop points tomorrow night in their midweek game, and that could crown us champions. But I want to do it the proper way. I want to do it at Rugby Park. I don't want anybody winning the league for us tomorrow night. I don't want it to be like Leicester winning the league back in 2016. I want Celtic to do the job on Wednesday, take home all 3 points at Rugby Park for the first time this season, and crown themselves champions of Scotland. That would be the best way to do it. But it's just great being in the position that we're in. Saturday was brilliant, and Celtic played really, really well, I thought. Second half, of course, we kind of took our foot off the gas a little bit and made it difficult for ourselves. But I think one of the key things you've got to remember in that game and in a situation like that is Rangers are chasing a league title, not just a win, a league title at that point. And Celtic were always going to have to face a kind of nervy sort of affair in the last 10-20 minutes or so. So yeah, we might have made life hard for ourselves, and we could have been out of sight well before then. Ultimately, what mattered most was winning the game, and we've done that. I thought we were brilliant in the first half. I thought actually the first half performance was up there with one of our best halves of football all season. You might agree or disagree with that, but I thought apart from the goal we conceded, we were near perfect. And once again, we just made Rangers look like they're nowhere near Celtic. And there's a cup final to go this year, and whoever wins that cup final, fair enough, whatever. We'll come to that on the 25th of May. We don't want to talk about that right now. But I look at that Rangers side, and I'll highlight a point that's been said by multiple pundits, multiple punters but from that game on Saturday till now. That Rangers team are nowhere near Celtic. That's 4 occasions this season they have failed to come close to us. They got a draw at Ibrox. Okay, well done. A draw where they paraded the team round the park as if they had won the league title. That draw was a disaster for Rangers, which was proven in the couple of games that followed. It wasn't anything that took them closer to a league title. It was a shambles that they didn't beat us at their own stadium. Rangers are nowhere near Celtic, and that's the truth right now. There isn't one outfield player in the Rangers team that would get anywhere near Celtic. I wouldn't have half of them on the bench, let alone starting for Celtic. They have got miles to come before they're catching up with Celtic. And listen, I know what people will say. I know if there's Rangers fans watching, Ryan, you said this ages ago, you said this the COVID year, you said you wouldn't have one Rangers player, not one Rangers player makes it into the starting 11. The proof is in the pudding right there. This is different from back then. You know, I'm saying this now after 4 Celtic results that have brought us to another league title. Rangers need significant improvement to compete with Celtic next year. And you know what? If they get their significant improvement, good. We'll evaluate the situation into next season. But guess what? Celtic are the champions again. 3 in a row. Sorry, Rangers. Sorry. I absolutely loved Brendan Rodgers' comments following the game. He showed exactly why he's the right man for the job. And you know me, I have been beating the Brendan Rodgers drum all year. I have been there through the darkest of hours, and I have stood tall and taken the stick when I've needed to. I have always been backing the manager, even when a lot of people wanted him gone and wanted him sacked. I thought it was foolish to suggest it at a time. And I know that people are still yet to be fully convinced on Brendan Rodgers, but his post-match press conference comments were absolutely spot on in regards to the criticisms and abuse that he's faced from the media this year, from the way that he's been treated, to then just go and shut them up in the way that he has by coming back and winning another league title. I absolutely loved hearing what he had to say. We'll have a look at some of his comments. Let's put them on the screen now. He said that earlier in the season, he heard someone saying that Brendan Rodgers was going through the motions. I think that's in relation to a comment made by Chris Sutton, by the way, but nonetheless, I get to work between 7:30 and 8 o'clock every day of my life. I leave the training ground between 6:30 and 7 o'clock at night, and then when I get home, I have my dinner and flip on the computer and have a look at more football. If that's going through the motions, then I want to know what every other manager is doing, because what every other manager is doing, if I'm going through the motions. On a personal level, I've been treated like a novice since I've come back here, like it's my first job. However, my principal objective is to make sure that Celtic win. Part of that is a part of the criticism, and I understand that. But it is the mentality of this team which is most important to me, and the mentality you can see from where we were with injuries, how we've progressed, how we've stayed unified to get to this point where we're nearly crossing the finishing line, and we don't want to just cross it. We want to sprint across it with 2 more games to go, plus a cup final, and that is our mentality. Brendan Rodgers speaking very openly about the criticisms he's faced this season, the way that he has been treated by people in the media and people in Scottish football in general, some fans from all across the country, as if he is some rookie, as if he's not a man who came up here and essentially won a treble and is now coming back to potentially win a double in his first time of asking. You're looking at an elite level manager. I've said it from the minute he walked back into the door at Celtic Park, and I'm still maintaining it to this very minute I make this video now. Brendan Rodgers was the standout and best candidate for the Celtic job. He is standing here now taking us to another league title because of that, and I think that very, very honestly, we'll just get better from here. It's been a rough season. We know it's not been perfect. We know there's been ups and downs, and I will give the manager criticism where it's due. There has been times where we've had to improve on what we've seen. Sometimes it's simply not been good enough, but it doesn't mean that we've not got a manager who's installing the absolute best in these players who don't buy into everything that he wants to do. And generally, he has a vision of where he wants to take us. If that man is backed, I believe in the vision that Brendan Rodgers has. And I really liked his comments after the game, drilling that point through, that he shouldn't be doubted. God bless you, Brendan. Let's finish this season as strong as you mentioned. Let's sprint across the finish line. Let's win the Scottish Cup. Let's take home a double. And let's build from there next year, because we are by far and miles clear of anyone else in this country. And I intend, and I think Brendan Rodgers intends, in keeping it that way. Let's turn our attentions to the Player of the Year ceremony, which happened last night. It looked like a great occasion at the Hydro. I wasn't there personally, but it looked brilliant from the videos and the photos that have been shared. Of course, an all-star cast along at the award ceremony. Kyogo and all the current players, and then Henrik Larsson and all the former players who were present. Some of my absolute favourites to ever put on the jersey, the likes of Georgios Samaras, Henrik Larsson, Stan Petrov. A really, really good cast of Celtic legends along at the event. But the story being that Matt O'Reilly took a clean sweep home. Yes, here was the awards in full for the Player of the Year ceremony last night. Matt O'Reilly won Player of the Year, Players Player of the Year, and Young Player of the Year, completing a treble of his own to take home the key awards. Following that, top goal scorer went to Kyogo, and goal of the season to Kyogo for his strike against Rangers on the December meeting. The Academy Player of the Year went to Daniel Kelly, and then for the women's side, Player of the Year was Caitlin Hayes, Players Player of the Year was Amy Gallagher, top goal scorer was Amy Gallagher, and women's goal of the season was Tasha Flint. So there is the awards in full. Matt O'Reilly taking home all of them. Quite sad for Joe Hart. I really think he did deserve Player of the Year. or at least Players Player of the Year. But look, listen, I'll not take anything away from Matt O'Reilly. He has been unbelievable this year, by far the best player in the country, let alone Celtic. And without his contributions this season, God knows where we'd be, because he has been the standout, and consistently he's been so important to everything that we do. He's been Brendan Rodgers' golden boy, and it's nice just seeing this come full circle, because I remember when Brendan Rodgers was given the job, and we spoke about this in the Celtic the Thunder podcast a hell of a lot. We said, who will be Brendan Rodgers' key man? Who will improve the most under Brendan Rodgers? Who will be his go-to guy? And I think all of us on the show said Matt O'Reilly. He just seemed like a Brendan Rodgers player. And watching the development of their relationship throughout the season, from Matt O'Reilly saying that he felt like he was the manager that he needed, he kind of had the shoulder over him, as that kind of fatherly figure, the hand over his shoulder, sorry, I should say. And just seeing how it's blossomed as a player, he's just unbelievable. The fact we signed him for £1.5 million from MK Dons. Enjoy him while he lasts. I think we've got 3 more games with him before he gets that big summer move. I would love to see him stay. Of course I would. I'd love to see him remain a Celtic player next season. But I think the chances of that are incredibly slim. But Player of the Year, Players Player of the Year, and Young Player of the Year, it really speaks a whole lot towards the character and player that Matt O'Reilly actually is. Congratulations to him. And he's somebody who, for years to come, I'll remember as one of our absolute best. Don't forget, because it was the 20th anniversary of the Player of the Year ceremonies, we had that portion of the show which kind of gave a nod to the players of our past. We gave out a legendary Player of the Year, a legendary Goal of the Season, and an Outstanding Contribution Award as well. The award winners for that, Scott Brown was given Legendary Player of the Year. Legendary Goal of the Season went to Shinsuke Nakamura for his goal against Rangers back in 2008. An Outstanding Contribution Award went to Henrik Larsson for, of course, the outstanding contribution that he gave to Celtic Football Club. It was great seeing all the videos and interviews of Henrik, and he was in tears talking about the club. You know, these are all guys, Brown, Nakamura, Larsson, everybody else involved. You know, these are the guys that have really contributed to the history of our great club and put us to where we are right now. So it's nice to see them getting that sort of recognition and that nod. Hopefully it's something we do more of in the future as well, to bring back these legends, because they're great to see. You know, I love the thing about Celtic is when you come here to this club and you're a good player, not just great players, when you're a good player, you're always remembered. Whereas I feel in world football, especially nowadays with social media, you know, people are forgotten about easily, and people are always outclassed by the next in thing. But I feel like at Celtic we remember our icons, we remember our legends, and we always treat them right. And this was another example of that last night. So, brilliant occasion. Congratulations to everybody who was awarded something, and let's finish off the season with a bang. Also, congratulations to Chris Sutton for getting in that dig towards Kenny Miller. That was appreciated. So that's it for today then. I hope you have enjoyed the video. We've got a busy week, of course, the last week of the league campaign. We have Kilmarnock on Wednesday night and then St Mirren on Saturday afternoon. So don't worry, we will be previewing that game tomorrow ahead of the match on Wednesday. And then we'll have St Mirren as well to do the same with the podcast and both match reactions. So a busy week. Make sure to hit like and subscribe to keep yourself updated. But for now, God bless, take care, and I'll see you all next time.